finally finish an edit. You export it. You open the file on your computer and it looks just beautiful. Wow. Then you upload it to YouTube and suddenly it looks like So in this video, I'm going to give you the exact Davinci Resolve export settings to get those clean uploads every single time on any platform you need. And guess what else? I'm not going to waste your time at all. So I'm going to put these settings on screen right away because I know some of you are just trying to get in, get the export settings, and get out. And maybe come back if you forget them later. Here is the screenshot. Download it down below in the description for completely free. Keep it on your desktop and open it up whenever you finish another project. These platforms are forever changing and keeping up with it can be overwhelming. And I've tried a bunch of settings throughout the years and these ones have been the ones that have consistently just produced good results. So trust me on it. Now, with that being said, for some of you more advanced users, you may want to stay till the end because depending on your platform or the type of project that you are editing, you may need to tweak these settings just a little bit. So stick around if you want to know how to do that. And again, if you came around for the quick settings, just grab those, come back later. Check out some of the other videos where I do some tutorials like this auto captions video right here for the free version and for the paid version. And anyways, let's get into the rest of the video. This part is not about making you memorize a bunch of random settings. It's just about giving you a simple rule set so you know what to leave alone, what to change, and more importantly, when to change it. I don't know why I decided to kind of put together a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation within Davinci Resolve. I don't know if that's been done before, but I just kind of felt like doing it, so just roll with it. And let's start with arguably the biggest and most important rule of all. Rule number one, let's start with a good file or don't expect any miracles. Your export should protect what the footage already looks like, all right? The detail it already has. It shouldn't bring detail out of thin air. So if you want cleaner uploads, start with cleaner footage. That means get yourself better lighting. Get yourself one of these bad boys. I'll show you what I mean, right? Just get yourself a nice light. Don't worry, your LEDs, like the one in the back, still look pretty cool if you got good proper lighting. The problem with bad lighting is a lot of cameras like phones, webcams kind of detect scenes with low light and then artificially increase the light, which kind of brings the detail and quality down as a really bad and unfortunate trade-off. So if you give the scene enough light, the cameras like this little thing right here will have the maximum quality that it can have. Now check your camera settings too, because you want to make sure that 4K is on, right? This will retain as much detail as possible, especially for those gamers that like to have the webcam in the corner. When you zoom in, you're going to retain a lot more detail, knowing that there's a lot more pixels going across the screen, right? So always try to shoot in 4K. And finally, this one's kind of obvious, but it's also pretty dependent on people's budgets. You know, use the best camera that you possibly can. Like if you can get a proper camera, that's obviously ideal. But a lot of the new iPhones and phones just have incredible quality. But yeah, like if you're still using a webcam or something like that with 1080p quality, maybe it's time to upgrade. There are some budget-friendly 4K ones out there that really do a good job. I kind of just dove into like the best webcams and some of them are crazy. Like you could get this right here, the Razer Kaio Pro Ultra. It has the largest sensor and a very high bit rate, and that's what a lot of people don't know. It's not just about 4K, right? That's just the most marketable term that beginners look for. But bit rate is also very important. Have you ever seen those cameras, those action cameras, those cheap knockoff GoPros that say they're 4K, but then when you get them and look at the footage, it just looks like crap? Well, that's because it has 4K but a low bit rate. So I found these webcams that have good low light performance, high bit rate, and 4K, and a ton of other cool features. So if these are within your budget, these are the ones to get, no doubt. They're incredible. So anyways, I'm blabbing now. Rule number one, good footage in means good footage out. Bad footage in, well, you can't really expect anything there. All right, we're moving on to rule number two, format. Just please leave it on MP4, unless you actually for some reason find a reason to change it. It's really that simple. Just leave it on MP4. MP4 is a safe bet. It uploads cleanly, works basically everywhere, and it keeps your file sizes from getting ridiculously big. Now, people argue that they can switch to QuickTime. It's the Apple style .mov or MOV format, but don't just switch to it because you have a Mac. I'd only really switch to it if you just want like a heavier master file for reasons that most creators probably won't need. So for most normal uploads, just leave it on MP4 and you'll be golden. I'm starting to think this presentation with the Davinci Resolve is a little silly. But anyways, moving on to rule number 3, the codec. This one is kind of, debatable, okay? H.264, is the default and has been the default for a long time. For most creators, this is the codec that you can kind of just leave on forever and you don't have to think about ever changing it like the last one, okay? It looks good, it uploads cleanly, it works on every platform, it will open up normally on most PCs, but I'm not going to pretend I don't hear that people have better success with H.265, okay? Some PCs may need to install a codec to open it up, or like a VLC player. You can do that if you really, really care about doing the absolute best upload, okay? But I guarantee you, if you upload H.264, H.265, put them side by side on 2 different YouTube browsers, you're probably not going to notice a difference, okay? This is something that's maybe an experiment for those like high-level videographers. Otherwise, don't bother. I don't think it's necessary. Moving on, 4K over everything. Rule number 4. We already kind of mentioned this, and you probably already know this. I'm exporting in 4K almost every time. Why? Well, it's 2026. It's sort of just the norm now, but specifically more resolution gives you more detail to hold on to before the platforms start to compress it, which they always tend to do, okay? If you don't know exactly the difference between something like 1080p and 4K, it's basically how many pixels go from the corners of the frame, right? Obviously, more pixels means more color dynamic range and detail captured within the frame, so that if you need to zoom in, it still maintains the pixels, because the pixels will get bigger if you zoom in, which could sometimes sacrifice a bit of the quality. So yeah, 4K is the way to go. But would I ever use 1080p instead? I think so. All right, I have used it sometimes. I have used it a couple times within the past year. If the upload is super, super long, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours, maybe you're doing a podcast or something like that, and you desperately need to save storage because you're traveling and you only have so much on your laptop. I don't know what the reason could be, but that's when 1080p still kind of makes sense for me. But honestly, for most creator uploads and any other uploads for that matter in today's day, 4K almost always wins. So the simple rule is export in 4K. Now, moving on to rule number 6, bitrate. This is the most debatable one, I'd say, okay? I see people having absolute wars, videographers battling cinematographers, battling creators on what is the golden bitrate. I'm over-exaggerating, I haven't seen that much, but people do really seem to have strong opinions about this. My standard for horizontal 4K is 80,000 kilobits per second. For vertical, I use around 50,000 kilobits per second. You're pretty much just setting the quality with a number, all right? Why? Well, I've found with a bunch of experimentation and trying to find the sweet spot of what is the highest number of quality you can select without the social medias then taking your footage and realizing that it needs to be compressed a lot, which then sacrifices a lot of the quality. 80,000 seems to be that sweet spot where I could just leave it on and I don't have to stress too much about it. I would change it to around 120,000 if the footage is extremely detailed, like I'm doing some like videography or cinematography work, lots of texture, macro shots. I got the like crazy lens going on and I'm really trying to protect something visually, right? Like detail is critical for this video. I would, potentially export 120,000, okay? You can experiment with this number, move it up a little bit, move it down a little bit, but I guarantee you're probably gonna be pretty happy with leaving it at the numbers that I recommended here, okay? Like, it's a good safe bet. Finally, at the bottom of your settings where you're setting your color space tag and your gamma tag, Rec 709 is the standard color space for almost all social medias. All right, this is the normal SDR online video lane. You can literally find it in the YouTube's guidelines, other social media guidelines. The thing is, when you are happy with the way something looks in your Davinci Resolve timeline, you want it to look exactly the same when you upload it. Just knowing the fact that social media and like platforms like YouTube perform on Rec 709, okay, then it makes sense just to match that, right? Just so it doesn't look different after you upload it. So for most creators. Just keep both of these on Rec 709 and don't overthink the rest. Alrighty, that's pretty much it. I'm just trying to make the lives of creators, whether they're at the start of their journey or maybe a little bit further down the line, trying to take their content up a notch. There is a lot more advanced customization when it comes to videography, cinematography, and really advanced projects, especially when you're trying to deliver to a client, okay? But in terms of YouTube and just getting quality content out there that people are gonna enjoy, and it's not going to be a big mess and look completely different than the way it looked in Davinci Resolve, then this is a really good guideline. It's been working for me for a long time. I've given the same recommendations to some of my buddies that are early along in their editing journeys, in their YouTube journeys, Instagram journeys, and they're happy with these settings. So anyways, to conclude, everyone will always have different opinions on export settings. Hopefully some of these tips and explanations have been useful to you. Don't forget to download the little screenshot that I created just so you could keep this around somewhere easy for you whenever you finish a project and you don't want to go back to YouTube, find a video, whatever. Just download it. It's free. Why wouldn't you? And yeah, if you like these types of videos, awesome, because I have a ton of other Davinci Resolve tutorials, AI tutorials on my channel. Go check them out. There's a bunch. If this helped, I would really appreciate a like and a comment and maybe a subscriber if you want to get notified with some more videos. So yeah, thanks for watching.